renters so far. Some of these renters share either one or more bed. So we keep track, everybody is a renter regardless whether they're sharing or not. We have 6 4x4s and there's only 2 left. And then we've got 9 4x8s and we've only got 2 left of that. So we're gonna wait until, we're gonna see how things develop, probably by the end of May. Have any new people signing up, then we won't make any more, so. All the beds now, all have dirt. All the weed barrier and wood chips are done. We've set up everything except for there's an area in the back that has a sloped area that goes down. We have not covered that, but because we're not really gonna use it this year. But everything else is all finished. All the main sprinkler lines are installed and they've been embedded. And then we have risers that for each and every bed that brings it up so that if they want a sprinkler system, all we have to do is just add the little, I call them snakes, but what is official name?
Soaker hose.
Soaker hoses. And all of that, everything should be complete in about a week to have all that done. Did you have a question?
Actually, Joe.
I had a question.
Yeah.
I actually went by there yesterday, and I noticed my first impression, it a lot nicer looking than over there.
Yeah.
So congratulations on that. You got a much nicer facility.
Oh, we do.
But I noticed, and I'm assuming that, and somebody might help me with this, but that giant property there that the water facility's on, is that what's back there?
No, it's sewer.
A sewer facility? That's all city property, right?
Correct.
I did also notice that your area is hard fenced in. If you get more, interest, because you look pretty full. So what happens if you get more interest? It did, I guess I can say we now, did we provide an opportunity for that to grow and get larger?
We talked about that, and we have to be really careful. People don't believe this often, but city facilities, especially for infrastructure, for water and sewer utilities, you have to be very careful about terrace stuff. And so we also have to be very careful about the buffers that are around our plants and they're very secured actually. So we do have to be a little mindful of that. I know there's probably a little bit more space to grow, but we do have to be really careful. And there's also buffers associated with, the product that is over there. And so you have to.
And I think there's also long-term plans, I think, to build a little bit more in there, and so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was just
Right.
curious about, because it
Yeah.
looked like you were already getting pretty full. You just said you had 2 open beds still, but it's still
Well,
early
we
in the
still have
season.
plenty more room though, right, for more beds?
That depends, a lot, Vivian was mentioning that sloped area, there's, we're kind of, I might be able to put one more row, make it, in other words, right now I've got 3 of them going across and to where it starts sloping down, And so from the shed, we've got 3 going across here, and then there's a total of 6. But the third one, the last one here is right where the starts sloping. That area, all the way to the fence, there's probably about 8 or 10 foot. That is, what I was told is that it's got to remain kind of a wash for water to drain along that
Watershed
fence.
area.
So my plan is to fill some of that slope up a little bit where I can put one more row.
Yeah,
Okay, so we'll have 4 of them in a row, and then another.
everything goes forward, yeah.
How we can probably add from where the existing row of 3 are, we might be able to add 2 or 3 more 4x4s there. So we're limited as to how much more we can put in there. My guess is we might be able to put around 4 to 6 more 4x4s along there. But after that, we can't put much more than that, Now, once we get everything done, eventually we can go ahead and put maybe a couple more in front of where our last beds are, because we've got a dead space where we've finished putting our cardboard down and stuff from where our beds are to the fence. There's probably about 15 feet or so where we can add some beds, but I don't want to put too much there because I have to keep enough room in there where a truck can get in
Right.
and go in there
That's
and
true.
dump stuff in there.
Yeah,
Okay, so we won't be able to add probably much more than maybe one or two more 4x8s and maybe 6 4x4s. Once we add those, if we get more people involved in wanting to have them and we're able to put those extras in, that's when we might have to think about what are we gonna do about enlarging
right.
the community garden, you know?
It might be interesting to think about if you get to that point, which I hope you do for success, but it might be interesting for you to think about finding a second location on the other side of town.
Yeah.
You know, so that you're
Yeah.
serving more people in different areas, I guess.
That's always a possibility. Again, it would be a nice thing to
Yeah.
be able to come across yet, but this is
Yeah.
our first year and we're like,
It's a big
this is enough for now.
Yeah.
We've been pretty busy.
Well, if
Oh,
it
good
continues to fill as quick as it has, you know, this year, which I'm very,
Yeah,
we're
we're
pleased
very
to
happy
see
about that.
how many more people want beds.
I'm thinking
If
positive.
if that continues, we'll have to think in the future for getting another location.
The other thing also is that, you know, we always offer room, if we have it, to garden to table attendees because the Master Gardener program does provide all of the wood and dirt for people who take that program. So, you know, we've got one garden to table person already this year that's taking advantage of our community garden. So we'll see what happens. You know, again, this is our first year and we're pretty happy with what we have so far and it's not even the end of April yet. So, you know, people start really thinking about putting a garden in May, so we'll see what happens from there. Any other questions about what I've covered so far? So I want to talk about our potential next project, which is the skate park, doing repairs to the skate park. We've had already one meeting about it, and then from that meeting, we had one person come and give us a bid, and it was kind of, it would have been like, it's kind of like the Cadillac of all skate parks. It's like an amazing thing that they could do for us, but obviously it comes with a price tag, so at this point, we're not sure, well, obviously the bidding is still an open issue. And so we're still waiting on that, but at the same time, the person who kind of spearheaded this, Andrew Milgren, said that he's already got people already interested in giving money. So what we're doing in the meanwhile is we're opening up another account at the bank just for that. Okay, and so once we do that, Andrew said he's got people that are already ready to start giving us money. I've already also looked into some grants already, and there's actually one that is a skate park development grant, which blew me away, but that's what they do, is they help people build skate parks. So I think that will be something for sure that we want to look into. So like I said, we're definitely trying to hit the ground running on this one, but obviously you can't really get into a lot of depth with grant writing until you have a real project and you've got some sort of a attainable, here's what we're going to do, here's how much money we need, you know, give them some details. So at this point, we're just doing a deep dive on all the different grant opportunities, and then we'll start looking into some grant writing. So.
Let me know if it requires like a city to also give a letter or something like that. So, since they're the landowners.
Right, right. And, you know, this was a concrete, you know, construction company. When we first started talking about it, we were talking about putting something over the concrete. And I think we may have to go back to that because concrete's very expensive. And so this person was gonna put a whole other layer of concrete over it, and it was just pretty high price tag, so. So yeah, I'm hoping that we can come up with some other potential bids that might be a little bit more attainable for us to achieve. So if you happen to know of anybody who, might be out there, a construction company or something that might have the ability to help us with the skate park in some fashion, we'd be interested in talking to them and getting an idea of what it would take for them to help us out with that, so.
Will the account be at First Federal?
Yes. Yeah. Any questions about that? I'll have more news on the skate park, hopefully, the next time we get together, but at this point, we're sort of in a holding pattern since we don't really have a settled construction company quite yet. So. Okay, thanks, everybody, appreciate it.
Thank you.
You bet.
Alrighty, if there's no other questions, then we'll go on to F, which is the subcommittee reports. And I believe they're in the packet that there was a discussion about tabling.
Chair,
Yes, go ahead.
the minutes.
Oh, the minutes. Oh, thank you. I skipped right over that, didn't I? Yes, I did. Sorry about that. Then number E, yes. We got to vote to approve the minutes for the meeting of February 15th, 2024. You guys had a chance to read the minutes? Yes. Are there any corrections or are we good? Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Do I do second? Okay, all in favor? Oh, you're not a voting, okay. All right.
I wasn't here, I can't.
Oh, okay. I was like, no, you are the voting member. Okay, got it.
I don't have minutes and I wasn't here last week.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah.
All right, then, now we can go on to F, which is the subcommittee reports. And in the packet is a discussion about tabling it until August. And so we can have more information come to us, so,
Tabling the amphitheater one.
yes.
And the advertising.
Oh, yes, thank you, and the advertising because of,
Yeah, basically, I'll be doing more of an in-house upkeep, but then I will be coming back to the committee with a little bit more direction.
okay.
Nicole made a map too since last time. But I need to give her some feedback on it.
Well, the map that I made was it's a basic overview layouts, that way things can be added as far as what's currently there and what's coming there, so yeah, we'll definitely. Are we gonna meet on that subcommittee again?
Yes, I'm hoping to, but first I want to do, put in the rest of the other stuff that we're working on the website.
Oh, okay.
Then those,
The map might be kind of cool to add to the website too, with what's coming. So
Yeah, that would be
but if
great.
you
We'll
guys,
circle in with you on that.
yeah,
That'd be great. Alrighty, let's see, anything for the RC cars?
So, do you go by Joe or Jay?
Either of the probably Joe.
Okay, so Joe is also very much in contact with Eric and has had a real interest in it, and I believe that he would like to take the liaison role for the RC cars now.
Yes, I offered that when it was first brought up at the very first meeting. It's just taken a while for me to get here to the seat, but now that we're here, we can probably proceed with that.
Okay, that'd be great. Do you need any help other than Nicole's fine help with,
Probably not at this point. It's just a matter of, things have been kind of, it's been on the back burner for a little bit now, unfortunately, but now that I'm here and I was actually supposed to have a meeting with Eric today, and again, things were a little chaotic and it didn't happen, but we will probably get the ball rolling here in the next day or so.
okay. And again, as a subcommittee, we will need reports from that group to, report back to the Parks and Rec.
Okay, is there any way that I could figure out what questions this group would have so that I could have them prepared to be answered? I don't know what the proper procedure would be for
Yeah,
that, but
Usually the notes just entail who are there, what day, and what topics you covered, right?
I think that more what he's asking is what the direction of a subcommittee, what questions they would need to have answered for a plan to come back to this committee. And I think that kind of the direction of that would be is, what is the vision of the RC car group? Where would you like to go? What would you like to see happen with it? Ideally, what would you have? And then we can see what we could start implementing.
okay.
So that's the main.
Yeah, and what locations, and, is it free, is it all kind of information? At least I
Yeah,
like to know.
like I said, the basic overview of, is it like a day use park that everybody could come use? Or is it one of those things you're gonna hold events at? Like just the big picture of what it is you would like to see happen in the parks.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly, all those questions.
And am I allowed to ask for that to be on the next meeting's agenda?
Sure.
Do I have to put that in writing? Or how does
Well,
that-
Rotating, aren't we?
So you would have a meeting with your subcommittee, and then, yeah, you could add the minutes, the discussion on the update on that for this agenda. But then the meeting of deciding that would be a separate meeting, right?
But we're rotating, so you will be in, because there's quite a few other ones that are on here of subcommittees, and so we're doing every other, so you will be due for a report back.
So it's every 2 weeks, so a month?
No, every 2 months.
Every 2 months?
Yes, that you have, so see, we have subcommittee reports, these
Yeah,
are all.
I don't have that paper, so.
Uh-oh.
There's one over there. Here you go.
Well, we'll get you one.
I'm just kind of following along with what everybody else is doing.
Oh, dear. No.
Oh, awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
I just need to get a printed paper and I'd have to look it up on my phone.
Oh.
One item.
So at the subcommittee reports, and there's A through F, and those are just a portion of the subcommittees. And so like tonight, I have burning news about the Southside Park, but I'm not gonna be able to share it because mine's not on the subcommittee report, right? But, well, it could be, it's not that burning.
If a subcommittee had an action item, they could request to be put on the agenda, right?
Sure.
Yeah,
If it was an
action
action item.
Yeah.
Yeah, like something we need to get moving on, not just an update.
Yes, that would go to the new business.
Yeah.
Yeah. for sure.
And you will be seeing my emails coming out asking for anything they need to be put in the packet that includes action items.
So what I'm saying is, you're on the rotation for April, and so at the May meeting, we'll go with the subcommittees that are not on tonight, and then this list will come back for June.
Okay, so we're only meeting once a month for some reason. I
Yes, you
thought it was
do
every
meet
other
once a
week. I
No,
thought we were bi-monthly. Okay, that's my mistake, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
it's easy because there's so many different meetings per se. Okay, any other comments on the RC cars? Okay, then we'll talk about the Riverfront Parks system, and specifically on the Riverfront Park Subcommittee. I would recommend that it truly is deemed a subcommittee, because before we used the title but did not come back to this group and say, we request to be a true subcommittee. And so I'm deeming it that, so how's that? Okay, now Ernie, you
Yeah,
can talk about.
that's pretty, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it was, I guess, never formalized.
Yeah,
Right.
formalized.
It's taking me a lot of brain power to remember all.
I know.
But I think essentially what happened was the Rotary had the Riverfront Subcommittee, and then Kay was here as the Rotary member, and then the Rotary was like, why are we in the business of this subcommittee, which belongs to the park, right? Anyways, and so we are now formalizing it because it has been here essentially the whole time.
Yes, yes, and we've always come and reported.
Exactly. Stuff like that, this is my list.
Yes,
So we just crossed the T and dotted the I.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, Ernie, would you like to talk about the Riverfront Parks Group Subcommittee?
Yeah, just a few updates that we,
Thank you, guys.
we covered today at a meeting. Probably people want to know about what's happening with the clock tower. There's nothing up there. We do have the clock, have had it for a little while. The tower itself is in the facility that my sister owns, down in Sheridan Road, warehouse space. We disassembled it partially. The inner structure of it was in really good shape. It was made out of cedar lap siding and studs. So we're going to seal that, put a new metal roofing on it, and it had a kind of a flat face and a triangular back roof to it, which looked, it might look better if it had a gable extension out of the front. So that's what we're going to put on it. It's going to be a copper penny roof, and this coming Thursday, the contractor Mark and I will fabricate what that front will look like. So the clock will be recessed into the front panel where the clock used to be. It'll stick out about 2.5 inches with the ring. And then on the top, the gable will come out about 16 inches and then be reduced back to about 6. So from the side, it'll look like this. So it'll look like a gable, like a cuckoo clock stuck in there. But the bottom sides will be in far enough to where you can see it from the side coming up or down the side. In other words, you don't want to be just right in front of it before you kill the time. So I'm hoping that the week after that, we'll be able to maybe get the clock installed, and then shortly after that, have studs come down. We want to dry run it, program it so they know exactly what they need for a conduit. And so they're not spending a lot of time on top of the ladder when we go to put it back in. But I'd like to try to get the thing back up there in about 30 days. So it'll look pretty nice, I think. After that, then we will work on the panels down below. There's 3 panels, triangular. So we're going to move the plaques to one side and put a kiosk on the front. And then on the third side, when we get around to it, we'll get maybe some metal signs up there regarding regulations, use of the pavilion, and that sort of thing. So that will be the focal point of the pavilion at that point. Of course, everybody wants to know about the decking and lack of it. We're trying to get the engineering completed, and so we get bids on several things. The main thing, I think I'm safe to say, is the north side of the pavilion. We need to install a concrete foundation, a wall, in case the 106 building that collapsed into the river, if that wall fails for any reason, we need to make sure that we have a wall that will maintain the bank so the pavilion doesn't go in the river. That wall will include a walkway on top of it, which will extend west and curve back up to what will be a parking area, the parking area behind the pavilion. And it will also continue east under the bridge and onto the Chester Moore Park property and at the staircase, which goes then back up to the Select Market parking lot. So it'll be kind of a 2-part thing. There'll be a pathway. It'll also serve as a foundation wall for the pavilion. Once that's in, then we can put the beams back up, take the wood decking off, and start replacing that, putting the railing up, the walls, benches, everything else that goes with it. That will also give us access to the river underneath the bridge. On that side of the bridge, the bank is not as steep as it is on the west side, but under the bridge in front of the 106 building, it's really shallow, so you can actually walk right into the river. It's really not a bank there. It was mentioned today if there was a way that the rock underneath the bridge, it goes all the way up the bank, could be improved because there's been, since that county put that rock in there, it's been at least a decade ago, I think. There's been a lot of damage done to that rock structure. It's really, there's voids in it, and it's really up and down and kind of rough. So that's one area that we thought about talking to one of the commissioners for Yamhill County. He's involved in the Yamhill River Access Project to see if they could re-rock that and what that would take, what kind of a permit they would need because it's below the ordinary high water line. There is a easement that I have that shows that there's actually two easements under the 106 building for the purpose of the county to maintain that rockery underneath the bridge. So they can certainly do that. That would give us really, as we talked about today, it depends on what you're talking about with river access. We talked about that in our meeting a couple days ago, the river access meeting. And they suggested that, you know, depending, we're really going to have to not only get around to identifying sites, which I can talk about later, but what the site is going to be specifically used for. And they recommended, you know, if it's open to various activities, to maybe split that up if at all possible. So we talked about that today, about what could we do in the shorter term to get access to the river for, let's say, swimming or taking your dogs in the water or fishing or chasing crawdads, whatever. The easiest way would be underneath where the bridge is, because it's below the ordinary high water line already. So there's no permitting there. But if you add any material to that portion of the river, then that's what needs to get permitted. So my question for the county would be, so since this is an existing structure, you're just kind of maintaining it or restoring it, you know, what would that look like as far as the timeline and cost? The other part that we've talked about, of course, is having a landing or a launch site. And that really doesn't work as well for that purpose, because you would have to bring your kayak paddleboard, get a drift boat, up around, across that pathway and all the way back over to the parking lot, which would be not fun. Morgan Street, of course, is a plotted road straight into the river on the west side of the property, and that's where the old landing used to be. So we were thinking, and I did talk with Tim about this too, and I'm not sure about this pathway that they have figured in their plan. They show a path, as I talked about, they show another path then from where that ends in the parking lot back down to the river on the west end. And if that west end is mostly for a landing or launch, then that would be the primary purpose of that. And it doesn't get that crowded with people that are in the water swimming or doing other stuff. In other words, I said you should try to separate those two things out. The other question is, you know, how far can they get down the bank without going through that more detailed permitting process? And in the summertime, when the water's lower, I think there's still going to be a significant bank there that would preclude people from using that for launch landing. This State Marine Board suggested, because it is such a steep bank, if we just took off, like angled it toward the water, then we could maybe put a slide in instead of a concrete type of ramp, because they don't envision a concrete type of ramp except in the Dayton area, which they're currently working on. Maybe Kiwanis Park if they get that in. So I guess that's one thing that, after we talked about it today, you might need to explore a little bit more as far as what's needed there, you know, and how many people would be using that path to get to the boat launch versus accessing the river below the bridge for these other purposes, other than launch. I guess that's what I was going to get to. But we can talk about that. So that was a discussion that we were kind of talking about. I know we want to try to get things moving as quickly as possible so that we can figure out what it would take, how much it would take, and so we can figure out how we're going to pay for the thing, which is a big thing. You're doing the budget now too, aren't you? So there's that. The other things regarding, and I think everybody knows about this, we're looking at the upper part behind the pavilion. Kind of, I won't say restoring it because it's never actually been there. But we were gonna build a retaining wall around there and level that area behind the pavilion. And that's where the picnic tables would be, overlooking the river from that upper area. And then that would be an upper parking lot and hopefully a restroom facility on that piece of the property. And then the parking lot would be probably comparable to the size of the select market by the time it's done, depending on how it's constructed. And also depending on some of the adjacent property owners. So I've talked with one of them today that holds a chunk of land back there that would be very interested in working with the city to come up with something that would resemble what we have on this plan that the engineers put in. And she's also receptive to maybe meeting with other property owners there to talk about even the ones that may not own the property but have a business interest, to see if, what their issues might be, their suggestions. And I have one more property owner I want to contact with the issues that he has, and before we set that meeting. So that's what I'm working on, to try to see if we can get some resolution to that and which direction we want to go, so we can get this. And that's it for that.
Yes, I just have a follow-up question that was brought up today at the meeting, which is the gate at the, on that side of the IGA is locked. So who, Heidi, would be responsible for unlocking that gate that allows you to go down the stairs?
I don't know. I thought it was Vic, so I'm curious.
I feel like I haven't worked here long enough to know exactly everything, so I don't know the answer to that, but
I thought it might be Public Works had the key for,
I don't know if they do.
okay.
I was told that it was the owner of the market. I've been told that several times, but I
Well, that actually was a good question, because the road was built at 1990. You would have thought they would have had an easement, but I don't know.
The stairway down,
Yeah.
right?
We have all that, we do have that, but I can't remember off the top of my head because we were looking into the drainage thing.
Yeah, so I
We're
don't know,
almost done with the drainage part, so that's good.
because the owner of the select market owns the bank, but I don't know if we have.
I don't know who has the key.
Yeah, because
don't
I
know
think
if
Donna and Brian typically like to walk their dogs down along there, but, that's quite you'd like to go down the stairs and around.
Well, I used to, for 20 years ago, I walked the dogs down it. And all of a sudden the gates started getting locked, and I asked the question when I was around town, and I was told that it was the market.
I don't know everything. Or what? It doesn't mean that Public Works doesn't have a key, but there could be two keys essentially, right? Like, Public Works could be using it to go down there and do groundscaping, but anyways, it doesn't mean, I don't know exactly who owns it. I'd have to look at all the records to see about the easements too, but we do have those, but I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah,
And I definitely don't.
if we
know
can
Public Works
put
has a key.
feelers out to find
This is a
out.
question.
I guess it's just a question for my maintenance crew to see if they have a key or if they were, I can figure out the answer, but not right now.
No, that's fine if you did it, because again, hey, just all we're asking is to investigate and
Yeah,
find out.
Yeah, but
Because that's a common question.
I will definitely do
That's
that.
the question that gets asked in my story, when they want to walk the dogs, why is it locked? I mean, it's supposed to come around town, I don't know what to say.
Me neither. I haven't been asked, so.
People want access to the river.
Yeah, exactly, they're getting
And
excited.
the dogs do too.
Yeah.
Okay, oh, yes, go
I
ahead.
have a question on this whole subject,
Mhm.
and I just want to preface this by saying, Monday, they asked why I wanted to be on this committee, and one of my major answers was I want to see safe and enjoyable parks for our public. Now, on the subject of this project, I was also down at the Street Park, whatever you call it,
Mhm,
yesterday.
mhm.
So I like to do my homework, so I actually went and visited all the parks in town yesterday. But
So again, Morgan Street is the one
yeah, on this side.
on this side and not
As we're
Chester
saying,
Moore.
behind the pavilion.
Okay,
So I really like this idea of using that space. Great question. I've asked that basically since I moved to Sheridan. Why can't you go through the gate in the IGA parking lot? So I like that. But to be totally honest, I know a lot of people that even if that gate was open, wouldn't go down there. I went down the Morgan Street thing. I am a large, confident man, and I walked about 50 yards into the park and said, nope, not doing that. Speaking of what do you call it, the 106 building? We just call it the town fallen building. It's a mess under there, and it's dangerous and scary. I don't, the thing is I don't
The
know.
building site or
What's that?
the building site, you mean?
Yes, and underneath of it where it looks like somebody made a half rear attempt to block it off with orange plastic
That was me.
construction
They
thing.
cut through it with.
And that didn't last very long.
I
These
didn't
people are
think it
very
would,
crafty.
sir, But we had evidence of them actually trespassing through there.
Oh, I get that. I
So
get that.
it
And I'm
was-
not saying that anybody did anything wrong, but, if we're gonna spend, if the town is gonna spend all this money on this project, which I think is an awesome idea, I'm not naysaying on the project whatsoever. I think we want to find, and like I said, I don't know whose purvey it is, but it being adjacent and affecting the park, I think it may be something that we wanna talk to somebody about.
What, the building?
The condition of it, and it's going to be, because we want to make a pathway that goes from one part to the other, and you basically gotta go through Detroit to get from one side to the other.
It'll be under the pavilion.
yeah, it won't be in
Won't look
106
like
area because we don't own that property. And am I allowed to?
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of confusion, at least for me, but are you talking about like, we call it like the Stonehenge area? Or are you so there's multiple properties in that area with different owners? So
Well, you
there's
have to
the
go
city.
through it, and then I think, cause I can
Are
see
you talking
beams
about
and decking.
you're talking
Yes.
about under the pavilion?
Yes.
Yes, so Ernie can fill you all in on that, but that will not look like that in this project.
Well, no, we can't do anything with it until we get this wall constructed.
Yeah, that's what, when the whole project is
Yeah.
done, that has been addressed,
Yeah,
is
you
the
can't do-
security
We
and
can't do anything with it.
at this time.
I just, like I said, I mean, this sounds like a really great idea, but it's going to take some time, effort, and money. And
Oh, I know.
There's
I
been-
think if the
there's been a
taxpayers
group
are
that's
paying
been
for a
meeting-
park,
Very hard on that.
Yeah, there's been a group that's been meeting, the Riverfront Access Park group, Ernie and Kay have been there since the beginning at least, and it's been going on for a year and a half.
Yeah, at least, I think close to maybe
It's a
two
big
now.
issue every
Yeah.
time.
And so to see those plans, you can start attending those groups, those are a
Yeah,
subcommittee
you're more than
group.
welcome.
And get caught up to speed
Yeah.
and all of that, but essentially, with Ernie, this project has gone pretty darn far, I would say, but it's at engineering, and the city has budgeted and paid for the engineering piece of it. And so, but there's a lot of steps that have to happen in order to get to the next phase. But I think what you're saying is like to take into consideration the safety issues when it is developed. Is that what we're hearing from you?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah, because I
That's
don't
the
want
main
to
driver
pay
for the
for a
project,
project that
beautification
nobody's
and
gonna enjoy.
safety.
So, and I admit, I do have some catching up to do, and there's been
Yeah.
conversations that I don't know about.
Yes.
So you gotta cut me a little slack on that,
Oh,
please,
yeah,
because
that's what
I'm
I'm
not
saying.
trying to hurt anybody's
No,
feelings.
Ernie and Kay are your best resources for that.
Yeah, I'd be happy to send you an email. Our next meeting is May 16th at the museum at 3:00. If you'd like to come, you're more than welcome. So I'll send you an email.
That's the whole point of this.
Yes.
Is trying to do something with it,
Yeah.
because nothing's been done with it for almost 30 years.
Yes, and there is not the best layout, but what we had at the time in the notes, if you look at our notes, and they're on this page, Joe, right here, sorry, it faded and it's not that big, but this is kind of what Ernie is talking about,
Is that
this
what I've been
area.
eavesdropping on in your lab? Is that the same picture?
It is,
Oh,
his
wow.
is bigger, his
Okay.
is bigger.
Elaine,
I was gonna ask
we
you.
had it
if
with
that's
red
something I
pen
have
today.
one.
Maybe Ernie could take the red pen.
Awesome.
You put your red
Yeah,
pen
so
on.
it's just a so what we were talking about then, is maybe making a couple of alterations here, or to have a little discussion about it, and exactly what the use of which part of our park we're talking about. The whole idea was to connect the two parks, and the
Which
best
would
way
be
to do that is under the bridge. And since we need a foundation wall under the pavilion before we can do anything with that, we thought we would just make that a combination wall of about 10 feet into the earth, in case that wall in front of it on the old building.
And in effect, that would close off that area that's kind of
Yeah, because they're
run
not,
down right now
they're
anyways.
they're not doing anything with it. Well, we don't even know, just to give you an example, a couple of years ago, I had a company that was interested in donating planks for that pavilion, but they wouldn't do it when their engineer looked at that because they were afraid that it would end up in the river, because that wall is in really bad condition. This wall will go right behind that wall, so if it does go, it won't affect the pavilion or the bank. And then there'll be a sidewalk at 8 feet wide that'll be on top of that. So we're gonna extend that walkway at an ADA level all the way back around up here to what will be the parking lot.
So you're saying that you can come from like next to the cafe and just walk straight through the park instead of having to go all the way
Yeah,
around the block?
well, yeah, the pavilion was built with the brick because it was supposed to have a sidewalk going off the back so people could park back here and walk through like a breezeway.
Nice.
So the sidewalk will go under the bridge and then connect to the staircase back up, so it'll be like a loop. But it's just getting there and we're getting closer.
There's just so many moving parts to it, including the
Yeah,
dirt.
it's a huge project.
The dirt that may come from a different part of the property to support.
But all good questions, Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be nice if, I think well, I don't know what's gonna happen with 106, so we can't assume anything with that. But the county does have a easement under it to come over and do the riprap repair under the bridge.
So just a curious question. This is all under the guise of the Riverfront access?
Two different things.
It is too, so the
Yeah,
two are not necessarily, they can be exclusive.
yeah,
If
because,
the Riverfront thing for some reason does not go through, we can still work on putting,
well, well, let me explain, because it's kind of, it's both.
Yeah.
So you'll see it two different places on our deal today. So the Riverfront Park system is Chestermore Park, which is the one by the market, the Hebert Pavilion, and then the Morgan Street Park area. So that was purchased to facilitate access to the other two parks, because there's no off-street parking. So that would help, then you could have a restroom, you could have a picnic area, and you could have a boat launch on the west end. So that boat launch would be an access, a river access point, so would underneath the bridge be a river access point for like two different things. So there is a South Yamhill River Access Project, which is a different group, just started about, I think about a year ago. And they're looking at the entire Yamhill River system, starting from Grand Ron all the way to Dayton, well, actually, all the way to the Willamette River. So looking at Travel Oregon, like we would have like in Oregon, in Yamhill County, there's this river access map that you can access a river, different areas for different things. That's a whole new project, but this fits right in with that. That's why I got involved in that as well, because we've got, you know, a
so
key
they're
interest
completely
on the
separate,
same.
but they play well together.
Yes, they complement each other. Well, because now instead of looking at funding just for this little project, you might be looking at for this whole river trail system, so that opens a lot of doors.
And you
That's
realize
that.
that the pavilion is the Hebert Plaza. Hebert.
I didn't know that till he just mentioned it
Ernie,
a couple minutes
Ernie
ago,
and
but I
Lucy, his
put
sister,
two and
and
two
John.
together on that one.
So John and Lucy are his brother and sister. They are all in our Riverfront group.
And I also saw the attendees of the subcommittee group where
Right.
there's
Well,
three Hebrew names that
Yeah,
did it,
it's
so
pretty
I'm
important.
kind of putting the puzzle pieces
It's
together.
pretty
in my
important
head.
that family.
I've lived in small towns before, I know how this works. fireworks.
This sounds pretty fun.
Yes,
And Kate puts together these action minutes, and I'm sure she has like back copies, even if you wanted to see some early ones. But she does a really good job capturing in this format everything that's been
She
happening.
does.
try.
But this what I'm saying is might be maybe one of the best history lessons that you could get is Kate's action.
Looks like I have a lot of reading to do.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you're right, it is a mess down there.
We
but
also
I'm
Yes.
so eager to get something going with that.
Right, but we've dreamed a long time about this, Joe, and, yeah, we're excited. It's like any thing, you know, you inch along, but we're getting there, and we're started, so, yeah.
That's why I volunteered to be on this committee.
Because your name's on the pavilion, I have to be.
He did,
It's either that or watch it fall into the river.
yeah, see, that, he didn't have to be, but we're very lucky that, again, the Heberts are here and helping us, so we feel very happy about
And I don't know if you saw it 20 years ago, but it was beautiful. The sunflowers and.
No, I've actually only lived in town for about 6 years,
It
so
was-
I,
When it fell in the river, I cried. It was
and
beautiful.
I've been to Sheridan twice before that, and that's when you guys had the mud pits on your property.
Oh,
Then if there's nothing else on the Riverfront Park system, Vivian's already talked about the skate park unless you want me to add anything.
Do you have something to add from her report?
We actually have had 2 meetings, but that's okay. The important meeting was the one where, and it was McDowell Concrete, and he came and talked about his ideas, about what he could do with the skate park. And he recommended a new quarter pipe extension on either side, a new pyramid at the center, 2 pump mounds, 90-foot or 90 left bank with a flat box. I'm not a skateboard person.
You sound like it.
Yeah, and a new hip and deck. I don't know what that is. But anyway, the way he, yeah, it sounds like body parts, but the way he had it laid out was spectacular. It looked really good. Again, like anything that is revamped, there's concrete, it's expensive. So again, Vivian is spot on that, again, money, getting funding for this project is probably one of the biggest hurdles. So, but other than that, we are looking for grant opportunities, and we'll be setting up a meeting soon, we hope. That's pretty much all I have to add.
I wanted to ask a question about that. Do you want me to so we can, I'm pretty, like I have templates of like bid sheets essentially. And so you could use that as a way to have a formal thing that you give to people. And then that allows you to compare oranges or apples to apples essentially when you're working with the different companies. And then we could even put that out. So
Absolutely, we, again, as a group,
scripted like.
yes, exactly,
Okay.
we have no idea, but again, what he showed us looked pretty spectacular, and it's like, should we go on and look for other things, or should we just try to fundraise and try to, go with that? But he seemed very, friendly and knowledgeable. Again, he's a skateboarder or had been a skateboarder. I assume he's still skateboarding. And I think he worked for a company, DreamWorks, who has a huge background in skate parks. Dreamland, thank you. Yes. And so, but he did say that he would also donate, if we went with him, the trucks. But of course, the labor is the huge part of it, and of course, part of the materials, I'm sure we have to pay for that. But he was willing to donate a portion of stuff, so. But that's, again, we're excited, it's just a matter of getting, funding. And, yeah, when we saw the price tag, we went, we'll let it go there. Okay, the dog park. Anybody want to talk about the dog park? Other than the notes, it's in the notes.
Well, okay, I do have a bed.
Okay,
Sure. Okay, let me pull it up. So, David was gonna come this evening and he did not. Tradition has given us a bid for, so funny, I don't know why I missed this, but when I went out with David, I went, oh, look, the same trees are along high school. Same thing that we're gonna do. I mean, really, how did I miss this? So the, arborvitae, he said that we can either do 70 plants or 100, depending on how much we want to space them out. Do we want this to be beautiful in 2 or 3 years or 10 years? And the high school has them pretty dense, they're probably every 2.5 feet. So that takes 100 plants instead of 70. So he's given us a bid for 70 versus 100. He's willing to grow them for us. We were thinking of planting them in the fall. That's what Kenny was, and the crew were suggesting to shoot for fall, because they have to level out the ground, get it all prepped. We have to put the chips in, the fencing in, do all that before we put the plants in. So, and he's also giving us a bid for, he and his crew, their time, for doing it themselves. They actually talked about a sprinkler system, but I told them I thought Kenny's crew would do that. I don't think that, I wouldn't think
I
that,
think we can maybe see if there's volunteers too, to help do some.
yeah, I didn't think that we really
Kenny's
wanted.
crews get pretty busy.
Do we want to bid, do we want to bid them from
I think we should try to,
David for that too?
you can get a bid from David, sure, but I think it would also be nice to have, like, I know that there's people that want to be involved in the parks and do more for the parks, and I think that having a day where you ask people to come and sign up.
The sprinkler system even?
Yeah, sprinkler system, and with the volunteers, there's no power tools and feet have to stay on the ground. And they have to sign, of course, the.
Yeah,
Yeah, you gotta sign
The binder
Just
and the
like we do,
waiver.
just like we do the.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
But it's been
Joe,
a while since we
you
had
have a question?
Wait, to that thought, the lady was here earlier, Friends of Sheridan Park, or
Mhm.
however that goes.
Yes.
Can you have a friend of dog parks kind of situation?
No, we're kind of,
tapped out.
yeah, exactly.
No, I mean, you're asking for
Because,
volunteers.
Well,
Yeah,
people can volunteer for the city.
yes,
It's not
Well,
the
you
same
have
thing.
you have a dog park subcommittee,
yes, but we're not like the Friends of the,
they're
Park.
nonprofit.
but yeah, they're a
Well,
They're an
nonprofit.
organization, we're
Yeah.
not an organization. It's
Yeah,
a different thing.
We're a group of
I
volunteers.
mean, we can post in my store, come help us, with dog parks. I put that right in the front window,
I mean,
but
it seems like there's a lot of people in the community that are interested in the dog park idea.
in that way, we just ask for volunteers.
300 people, you could at least get 5 to come help out, volunteer.
Honestly, I would put it right in my window of my store.
Well, if there was an established day for volunteers, I would obviously get a story in the paper, on
Right.
social media. But there hasn't been an established day for people to go, like, we're just coming into the better weather for that.
Right,
Right.
we've gotta get, I'm just talking about fall, but way ahead of time,
I think so.
because it's gotta grow the plants.
Yes, and I'm pretty familiar with arborvitae because where I used to work, we had hundreds of acres that we had to keep on for sewer reasons. Anyways, it's best to plant them in late fall or early spring. So you might want to skip late winter, sorry, early spring. So you might want to skip fall
Okay,
because they should be pretty much stopped growing in their dormant period when you're planting them.
we talked to David further about that, he wanted to do it in spring, but we're just not there yet.
Yeah.
And that we have to get the fencing up, and, but the thing is, and what you don't know about is the reason that we want the arborvitae at the dog park. Do you know where the Jefferson Street Dog Park plan is behind the high school?
I was assuming it was on the far end.
It's
yeah.
very far in,
Yeah.
behind the high school, all the, was it baseball fields?
the second baseball
Yeah.
field.
So we're talking about that last lot back there. The train goes, just like it goes past
Okay.
my parking lot, I mean, it blows my garden center away when the train goes through. It's so loud. It's gonna alarm dogs. We're trying to
I
get a buffer.
have 5 and I live next to the tracks. I
Okay,
completely
you know what I
understand.
mean. So we're looking for a
Or
buffer
4 now, sorry.
for the sound, for the noise, to keep the dogs from getting, and people from getting alarmed.
Zero argument with that.
Yeah, so that's why the arborvitae that's why we came up with this plan. And the denser the better. I mean, if we could do 100 plants and get them dense, I have a picture, even from my own neighborhood, of a hedge that's planted about 2 feet apart.
And any dogs that aren't used to that are in the parks, and
They're gonna freak out.
it is gonna freak them out.
But it's gonna be a beautiful park if we do it right. So I'm hoping that we can do the 100 plants and that David is crew can plant them and that we can get volunteers out to help with the rest of it.
Yeah, our goal is to
Okay.
work on Jefferson first.
Yeah.
We feel that's more doable. And then we have the South Park. We want to put a dog park there. And then, of course, that smaller area at the city park where the old horseshoe area was, we'd like to turn that area a little bigger into a dog park
I
there.
was also in there with my bulldog yesterday.
Okay,
Oh, it's a little bit on the cramped side. It's
Yeah.
splitting on
Yeah.
that,
Both we and
but
I.
it's not our priority.
yeah. So, but we do feel like the Jefferson Street Park is the one we want to focus
It's
on.
really, I think it'd be a key
You
spot.
say in the old, is it the old baseball diamond, so it's as big as
No.
that, or?
It's
No.
south of the, it's
Behind-
behind, yeah, it's
It's,
east of the.
it's the, like, there's nothing on it right now, it's some trees along the train track, just go down Jefferson, all the way down, past the baseball, past the school, and look on the left and you'll see it.
Yeah, it's a dead end street.
Yeah.
And,
It's a great spot.
yeah, and actually you look past there and you see Forest River. Forest River runs all
Right.
that back there and stuff, so. And again, if you're interested in coming to a dog park meeting, you're more than
You
welcome.
got dogs.
Yeah, you're more than welcome, so,
Quick question.
yes.
What's going on with the poop bags? You think people are just taking the whole
There's-
roll?
Yes, yes.
We
There,
already talked about that in the dog park meeting.
Well,
Yeah.
that's where I read it from.
Yeah.
You think people are just stealing
The-
whole rolls?
Kenny and Sandy and the whole team,
Jake.
they were like, for sure.
Yeah, Jake says that he needs to, replace it very often, because people go in there, take the whole roll.
Can we, instead of
And you know
rolls,
they're
can
not
we just
picking
do
up
the
after the
individual whole bag?
No.
Like bags?
Can we like lock it up
Like a
somehow?
different
I need to
brand?
look on it.
too bad you can't
But
discuss
don't
it
tell me
one
what
more
it is.
time.
Yeah.
I
But
think
when I
my
just
question
went
would be
over
though, are people at least using them? Are we finding there's
I
not?
think
at
that's
least
the
in
most-
areas
Actually,
where-
some are because when you walk out of the
Yeah,
little
let's
gate
try it for a different.
It's
and you walk
ridiculous. If
a
people
little
are
bit to the left, about 10 yards, you
so
step on a
like
full
up in
poop
arms.
bag,
I mean, it's
Oh.
just- I'm so
which
sick.
is gonna be a question I was gonna bring up. but I
Say
didn't
we
know
don't have
if
garbage
we were-
cans near us.
There really should be one of those dispensers and a garbage
Liz and I
can right at the
Liz and I
gate,
both
so,
keep trying to say,
because
Look,
they're
it's
way
not
off to
like
the sides, and
we
if
don't
you
care,
come from center
okay?
of the park,
it's not like.
I didn't know
we're
they were
doing
there
nothing about it.
until I went
It's-
back to my
it's
car.
happening.
And so unless you're coming directly from those corners,
Mhm.
which is how much of a percentage of people are actually gonna come from that actual direction, you don't know that they're there. I think it would be quite helpful to have a can and a dispenser right at the little gate thing that goes into the dog park.
Okay, we can add that to our
Because
list,
Kind
sure.
of common sense, the nearest trash can is 20 yards away, which really isn't that much, but we're talking about
Okay.
people. And sometimes people think things are bigger than they are.
Well, Jake was suggesting too, even at the Jefferson Park, is actually mount it to the fencing.
Yes, that's
And,
what I'm
and
saying,
that's
right
what we
there.
could do there. So I'll put
That
that
way you
down.
can't help but see it when you walk in the door.
That's
If
a
you
great
didn't use
idea.
it-
Ken.
Yeah,
Yeah, if you
Well,
don't use
that's-
it, then you're gonna feel.
okay, we'll put that down under
No, that's-
dog park and
On the
ask
fencing, that's.
at the city park if, Jake can put a little dispenser attached to that little area there.
And then possibly throw one of the trash cans, that way, if people are responsible enough to pick up after them, they just have to
Okay,
walk
so
out and drop it in the can right there.
a poo dispenser in a trash can.
This makes me wanna go to a lot of dog parks and take pictures of them.
I was more asking for the cost benefit on that. People are at least using the bags. How much could the bags possibly cost? As long as we're not having waste over
I
there.
sell
would
the bags
imagine
and
it's a-
they're cheap in my store even, I mean,
But that's what I'm saying.
but why are people taking them? Is it just to be
But if
mean?
they're doing it to keep the city streets clean and we don't see a ton of waste on the ground, then I would rather have somebody grab 5 bags.
Yeah,
out of their
people,
pocket.
since they're right on
No.
the road, people could be grabbing them when they're just going on random walks, not
That's-
necessarily in the
That's what
park.
I'm saying.
That's the thing, is I think people are taking them for their own use outside of whatever.
But if they're keeping dog poop out
Yeah,
anyway.
okay,
sure.
let's corral our little discussion in here. Anybody have a suggestion on that issue of, other than, finding another solution to, instead of a whole roll, like you're saying, we look at other options, because somebody apparently, or many somebodies are just taking them all, and it's kind of defeating the purpose. And again, yes, on Facebook, there are many comments about people not, specifically, it's on the city park side, right there at the city park. People are frustrated with people not picking up their own.
Even, not even social media, but I have an employee that lives right there. And, I mean, she sees it all the time. There's dogs crapping in their yards and right there. So it's a problem.
And the dog park is full of leftovers, so if they're using them, they're probably not using them in the dog park,
Okay.
in the fenced area.
Pardon?
There's no official dog park yet.
I know, it's not,
The fenced dog run,
yeah, it's the old horseshoe area. People are down, they're just taking their dog in there and whatnot.
Okay, got it. I guess we should just throw up the rules.
Okay, we will come up, we'll talk about it at our dog park and see if we can, I don't know, we'll think of some ideas on
Yeah.
how we can encourage folks to, pick up after themselves, their dogs. So, okay, let's go on to number F, YamCo Parks and Recreation. Is that you, Ernie?
That's Mega.
Oh, that's Omega,
yeah.
okay.
So I wasn't there yesterday, but I can tell you a quick rundown of what we've been working on. We have, we threw out some bids out, and mostly we are trying to get a company that can come in and look at all the parks that the YamCo County has. And after that, we want to see which one has the most people going in, and then which one we can work better with surrounding cities. All the parks are just kind of like very far away, and they're not like the city parks where you can just put a park in there and you can put like a structure for kids to play at. It doesn't work that way for the kind of parks that the YamCo County has. They're very earthy, they're very they're muddy, they're country, and a lot of them touch local farmers. So local farmers, they don't want a lot of noises, a lot of things that can eventually and potentially ruin future crops for them. So we want to be working more with our local neighbors, and we have two parks near Sheridan. Right here, the one I'm in charge of is the one here, Stewart, in Highway 18. And I actually talked to the board on the emerald ash borer bees, because when I went there, I saw I counted about 5 trees that are essentially going to be gone. Or if they do get infected or are already infected, we don't know. And if they do get infected, that's a whole bunch of the river that everything is kind of erode right into the river. That could potentially kind of pass on this side too. So that's basically what we've been talking about, trying to get together. And they are working on social media outreach. They just created their passports for the summer passport. Both they created in Spanish, and then I translated it into Spanish from English. So there's 2 language happening right now, especially with, we want more of the Hispanic, do more outreach to Hispanic communities. Let me see, what else? That's all I got, because I don't know what happened in that meeting.
Yesterday.
Yeah.
I'm interested in that. How often does the county check on their parks?
I check on it once every week.
Oh, so people that are assigned to it are responsible. I would love to go.
But they do have
But they do
park,
have a park.
park staff.
Okay.
And so the staff goes to empty the trash, the bathrooms, is that what you're asking, how often that,
Yeah.
the staff?
Oh, that often, quite often, actually,
Okay.
yeah. They're,
I see people out there quite a bit.
mhm.
I would love to go with you at some point. That's one of my favorite places.
Omega has, speaking of the Ashford, but you have the park, not the national park, the state park people are coming soon.
They're coming tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the first wave of learning about how to use their software.
Okay.
Eventually, we are taking an inventory of all of our trees
In all of our parks.
in all of our parks. So after that, we're gonna be basically figuring out which is healthy, which is not healthy, check them off. And then
And how old they are,
how old they are, the whole,
the expected lifespan,
Right.
think about
Well, that sounds-
replanting right next to one.
and what it is, because our climate is changing to slightly more Mediterranean, so they're talking about introducing more Mediterranean type of trees that can have more self-sustain and doesn't take up as much water.
Right.
And that can diversify our tree population.
And how are you gonna learn this? Is this like a field trip thing you're going on or online
This
or?
is the state, we work very closely now with the state parks.
But I'm saying, is this somewhere you're gonna go to a park and actually look at trees, or is this something you're learning online?
So it comes in three phases. The first phase is learning how to use that free software. Second phase is tagging all the trees. And the third phase is putting them in categories within the software.
And it happens over time, and most of the work is on site because it's our city parks, so we would have to do on-site
Well,
visits.
I'm
So
only
there will
asking because if there's something that, I would like to know this,
Mm.
for personal reasons as well as this. Is that something anybody can do, or is that
So
something?
the software is for cities, so they're for other
I wanna
agencies.
know about the trees.
Yeah, it's not the state parks, it's the forestry department, I'm sorry, it's the forestry department, and you can always call the forestry department, I mean, they're wonderful, they help lots of people with lots of different things, they'll even,
Both public and private.
yeah, exactly, you can send them pictures and they'll identify the tree for you and tell you about it, so will on Lafayette Avenue and Mac, you know, there's the extension office, the OSU extension office, and they'll do all that for you too,
My
they'll even
father did
identify bugs in your garden.
So when you figure all this out, is this something that we could do, like, can you tell, like, Public Works, the Kenny and the guys, so like when they're in the
Well,
park and they
Public
see a tree
Works
that looks
will
like it's.
be working with them.
Yeah,
It's,
it's a
they're
staff.
teaching the staff on how to be more knowledgeable in how to use all of this
So when
software.
they're mowing the lawn at the Veterans Memorial there, and because there's riverfront trees and those are more likely to get damaged, correct? And so when they're going through there, then they can see that and bring it to people's attention, or?
Well, now you're getting a little bit, it's as long as if it's within our property, we can do that. But if it's outside of our property, then we're not tagging those. So a lot of those trees that you see down the river, they're going different property owners. So it's kind of hard to manage all of that unless all those property owners come up and say, hey, we want to do this.
So does that
The
include the
veterans-
Department of State Lands property?
That is up to the forestry department, but right, what we're most concerned with is at the city park, because they're mostly ash trees. And so one of the visits out that the forestry department will do as well is to teach our city staff and more about the pesticide or insecticide, I don't remember which it is, about the treatment process for each of the trees. Remember, we had talked about this before, and then our public works staff will also be able to do the debarking process where they can identify whether or not the borer has gone into it. And that's it's like shaving of the bark, has to be done very gently and specifically, but there's quite a bit of stuff going on the city staff on the public works side, and Omega's helping to coordinate it with just with the trees, right? Because of that little beetle. And so Sheridan has almost all of its trees at the city park are ash trees. And so you can imagine that those will be all obliterated if that beetle gets here, and it'll happen very quickly. So some of the efforts are about just replanting now with these trees, but we do have to, it's best for us to do the inventory and understand the age and what we're looking at. And it's a
And
free process.
strategically plant them. For example, there are at least 3 potential trees that are holding the riverbank right out here at the Chestermore. And if those trees go away, kind of like the one in Stewart, all of that goes down.
But those ones are cottonwood.
And no, there were 3 of them that were ash.
Gosh, yeah, but I think those, anyways,
Yeah.
doesn't matter. This is what the inventory's for.
This is what the inventory is for, and they will tell us, which one is the most potential, and if we do need to, plant something, that way, if something were to happen to the ash tree,
Hopes of erosion.
hopefully, that can hold the rest of the bank.
Yeah, there's a lot of those around on the bank. There's 3 over there on Morgan Street that would be nice to get rid of.
Yeah.
Does it include those two?
On the Oregon Street,
Or replace them with a
yeah, they'll go
different
to
kind of tree?
all the city parks.
So eventually, another reason why we're doing this is because we have this huge tree planting coming up in the south side park.
Does this feed into our goal of being a tree city?
I do
Yes.
very
I
nicely, doesn't it?
has done, 'cause I know you guys have been talking about that.
Yes.
It's part of the program.
Okay. Well, it certainly seems like it would fit in.
Well, they gotta know
Well,
Yeah.
it'll
what
be,
you got.
we can't apply for all of that, I think, until the fall, right? The
Yeah, it's coming up.
application's in the fall or something, so we'll just have all of this work that we've done to show
Yeah.
them, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. But
Uh,
I encourage everybody to reach out to the forestry department, they are wonderful.
Thank you. They should have an open house here. We'd love to meet them.
Yeah.
Yeah, all things trees or whatever.
And that's it for me.
Put that into
Okay,
Saturday market.
thank you for the update. That was very interesting. Then we'll move on to the second public comment period. Is there,
There's no one online.
there's none here. Joe, do you have a question?
Yeah, I'll fill out a form.
I don't know what the forms are.
Right here.
They're right here.
Sorry,
It's
Joe.
okay.
I apologize,
I'm
'cause I was
filling it
sitting.
out.
Send it on.
You can do that.
Okay, so, Megan says something about, right now the climate's warming, so I think they're trying to go to Mediterranean plants. Well, right now, all I know is I have some plants that are very susceptible to moisture, and like a peach tree, and that thing is suffering every year, probably because it's wetter and colder. So I don't understand that, I mean, unless my property is wetter and then everywhere else is drier, like Mediterranean. I mean, I have citrus trees and that's hard too, but it just seems like it's wetter, so maybe, I don't know if investing in Mediterranean plants, if that's what I heard, is a good choice, because it's still wet, it's still cold. I mean, if I can't plant a citrus in the ground and it survives, then I don't know if that would be feasible personally, putting like Mediterranean type of, unless I heard wrong. Did I
They're
hear
not
wrong?
plants, we're not putting plants, we're putting trees. There are certain trees that can withstand the cold. But even on the Oregon grapevines have grown up. We have more wineries here in Oregon because we're starting to look slightly more of Valley, California, where essentially it's getting a little bit hotter here, where those grapes are able to.
Because we're a microclimate.
But that's why we're following the
That's why we're
guidance
following
from
the
the
guidance,
forestry
yeah.
department.
Now that we are, we just probably, this is what they suggested as a,
But Omega,
as
he's
an
in public,
overgrew.
he's in public comments.
oh,
No, I appreciate the feedback. It's just that, yes, grapes love a lot of moisture. That's why a lot of them are dying in Napa, because I've been through Napa Valley and almost all their grapevines are dead down there. When I take the 101 down there. Yes, they love moisture up here. They also like the heat. That's how you get a really nice juice or wine or whatever you're into. But it's still, to me, it's just, I guess, go with the guidance like you're talking about. I think just putting Mediterranean plants is not a good idea. That's just my opinion. And I can't think of anything. I was gonna say something, but I totally spaced it. Thank you.
All right, that's good.
Thank you.
sorry.
No, it's fine, it's
I
fine.
just need to look up Mediterranean plants, it's kind of cold.
And then we'll
Sorry, okay.
go on to number H, committee members' comments. Yes.
I have a question. We are coming into spring, which is great. People are gonna be visiting our parks more, and I was wondering, I'm sure it's probably gonna be on the update for next month, but did you have any updates, Heidi, on the disc golf park that's getting ready to go in? Is that something we should wait till next month to hear about? Or is it quick enough that we could kind of get, because as we're
Yes,
coming into
baskets are
spring.
coming, the baskets are on back order at the company, but they are coming.
Awesome.
Yeah, and the group is starting to make the forms for them for the concrete pads.
So is that something that we're hoping to have open while the weather's still warm, or is
Oh,
it
yeah.
maybe next year?
No, it's definitely not next year. Everything at the Southside Park has to be finished by the end of the grant, which is November.
Awesome.
So that means your dog park.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
I had a note for Omega to make a couple
Okay.
phone calls. Their money's there, so you just need to really be bossy.
Okay, we can be boss.
Yeah, you just need to tell people what you want.
Yeah, okay, all right. Any other comments, questions, group?
So yes.
Do you have anything, Joe, you'd like to ask us?
Not necessarily, but I do have a comment I'd like to make. Thank you for the opportunity to sit here.
Okay,
I know you guys didn't make the decision, but, and I'd just like to say that sometimes my stepson likes to call my personality a little crunchy. So, you guys, I couldn't been asking some questions and, you guys were patient, so I kind of hope that continues, because I have a tendency to be like sandpaper sometimes, but keep in mind that, I have good intentions.
well, welcome aboard. We are.
You better be saying my good intentions.
Yes.
I will say, it sounds like you're ready to help take some action, which is amazing,
Yeah.
and we need more
Yes.
people like that,
Yes.
instead of just wanting the title, like you want to get some stuff done, and that's great.
Totally agree.
Okay, if there's no other, then somebody make it a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second that motion.
All right, we're adjourned.
Thank you. Good work.
There was-
We should expand
Recording
tell you
stopped.
about the